Hi everyone, and we're halfway through actually. So we've been doing 2 weeks. First week was all about like the philosophy of the IB. Second week, as you saw, was more getting into the MYP unit plan, where we've built the conceptual understanding, which helped us build this statement of inquiry, um looking at the global and exploration of a global context. All of that is like the basis to create a task, an authentic task using the GRASS model. And I've seen it like building through the week. I know that reading all of you gives me many ideas as I expected. So I hope that you take time to read what the others have done so far so that it gives you ideas. And for those of you who are late due to different issues, it's time to catch up to the others. Since the MYP unit plan that you're building until the end is pretty much like an individual work, it doesn't matter as much if you don't have not been following the pace until now, but it's really important to catch up. So I am going to send you a progression sheet as I did last week, and you see everywhere where it is in color. It's because I've seen your work, but I might be a little bit late, a few hours late. If you have posted something in the last few hours, it might not be up to date. So you have to continue your work until the end. I know it's time consuming, but it's gonna give you many ideas, and it's starting to perhaps show. I know that for me, it's inspired me. So with module 3 and 4, we are going to well, go on with our unit plan, but because we already have the idea probably from unit 2 for module 2, then it's going to be, I think, easier like to go up till the end. And I'm commenting, I wanted to comment a lot on module 2, where you put your idea and then it's going to follow up pretty easily, I guess, until the end. So let's take a look at it. At module 3. Just before that, just to remind you, from the workshop homepage, there is a possibility to meet me at any time. If you need help, you can send me an email. You can try to ask for a meeting, a special meeting at some point in time. But I'm going to do a second live meeting with the big blue button, which is the option here. Just have to click on it. There, once again, it's the same times. I noticed that I think it's for most of you it's either Saturday morning or Friday night. In order for everyone to be on Saturday morning, I would have to do like three options. So I'm doing two actually. But this week is more about answering questions and perhaps going over evaluation once again a little bit deeper, because it was the concerns of many. So I am going to try to just make sure that everyone has that clarified until the end. For the rest, you're going to see this is not that hard. So you just have to press on it, and you are going to see, depending on the time, if you go here, I know I told you last time, but it says to you at what time you can access it. Normally, it should be written with your time zone, considering your time zone, but if it doesn't, just try to make sure that it's okay. Okay, I'm going to module 3 now. I didn't see anything. Those who are up to date until now have done good work, and I consider that really understood like what you had to understand for the first two modules. So I didn't see anything that going bad so far, with a few adjustments here and there. So for the module 3, the first activity actually is just an introduction to the ATL learning skill, approaches to learning skills, ATL skills. This comes from the guide MYP from Principle to Practices. So but it's because it's an appendix. Instead of going through the whole document, it's just like these pages coming from the MYP from principle to practices. And what you are going to see is that there are categories of skills and clusters, but here for communication it's not really like interesting because there's only one clusters of skills. So if I go to, let's say, the one which I like the most is perhaps the last one, the thinking skills. So this is a category, and we have the critical thinking skills, which would be a cluster of skills, and then you would have indicators. Okay, so each bullet is an indicator, and we have here three clusters. There is a critical, and there is a creative thinking skills that we want to develop, and the transfer skills. Okay, so in all it's 10 clusters that you have, and many indicators. I think it's like 140 indicators. So actually we have to teach pretty much all of these over the 5 years of the MYP. Of course, it's not the responsibility of only one teacher, it's the responsibility of all teachers in school. So you have to build in school a kind of grid where you will have like all of the indicators and indicators, and you will have to know what is taught at which level from the first year to the last year in order to improve the skills of the students. So that's something which is really important. Then the second aspect, I would say, of ATL skills is that when you start with a skill, it's pretty much like to show the students how to use that skill, and we accompany the students through the activities and to the use of that skill. In a second level, then it would be to tell the students that they have learned specific skills, strategies, and then you just remind them perhaps, and then you let them work on their own. And if you consider that the students are experts, let's say in the final year, then perhaps what you are going to do is to tell them that you are going to evaluate one aspect, one indicator, and let's say help others to succeed. So you don't necessarily show them how to do it, but you are going to tell them that you are going to take a deep look at that skill, and if ever the student doesn't have that skill, then you can try to correct the situation to help him or her. Okay, so the idea here is to gradually develop these skills over the 5 years of the MYP. That being said, and coming back to the first learning engagement, is just to tell, as adults doing that workshop, is there any skills that you have developed? So just pick one and explain. Actually, the third learning engagement, I'm skipping the second one for now. It's pretty much go, well, no, I cannot skip it actually. The second learning engagement is to locate the objectives depending on the year you're at. If I'm gonna press on it just to show you, because I want the mathematics guide. And there is also the MYP, the Word document, which is the blank MYP unit planner. You just download that document, okay? And you can download it here, or you could have downloaded everything from the workshop homepage library, resource library. So there were two possibilities. And then I'm just going to click on it just in case that someone, here in Safari, it goes here actually, and it goes in the folder, which is téléchargement, download folder, I would say. Okay, and Google, it might appear in the bottom left corner, okay, the document. So depending on the system that you use, normally when you click on it, it goes in the download folder on your computer, and then you can find it and you can modify that version which you have downloaded. The mathematics guide, same thing for me, it downloads and it opens. Okay, that's great, that's what I wanted actually. I was talking about the objectives, right? So I am going to go through, if I didn't do it for now, sorry, I'm getting there. Let's say I have the assessments criteria for year 1, so you have this choice between year 1, year 3 or year 5. I've told before that in year 2 you would start with the year 1 criterias, and then at the end of the year you would use year 3 criteria, and the same thing in the 4th year. You would use the 3rd year at the beginning of the year and the 5th year criteria at the end of the year. So that's one thing. These are the strands and the objectives. So what you have to tell in the unit plan, if you say that you evaluate criterion A, then you would have to say that you have evaluated all 3, let's say, objectives, okay, which would be the strands here. Same thing for each of them. Sometimes, if ever, let's say in criterion D, if you decide to apply mathematics in real-life context, but you don't use the last 2 strands, then it's not that it's not okay, you can do that, but you have to remember that you have to evaluate all of the strands at least 2 times a year. It's mandatory. So what I would do is that I would evaluate all 5 2 times in the year, and all of the other times during the year where I apply mathematics in real life, then if I don't have time, I know that the students don't have time to just describe if the solution makes sense, then sometimes I skip a few of these and I only use the first 3 criteria. So you have to decide upon it in the MYP unit plan, and that's the objective of learning engagement 2, so it shouldn't take much time. Remember that all 3 is here strands, they are about the same as the A, criterion A. So you don't evaluate criterion A and D at the same time. D is applying to real life. A would be more of an exam, unless you ask a few questions which looks like an exam, the first part of the task, and then you have a second part where you apply it to real life. Then it could be both criterion A and D, because there are like 2 parts on the task, on the summative task. So that's perhaps the only way that you can try to combine these 2. And if in the criterion D there's a part where you ask to develop a model to infer evaluation, a rule, then there is a possibility that, like as I said before, that one part of the task would be like the criterion B, and the rest of the task would be to assess criterion D. So it's possible, and C and D often goes together because C is the communication. So that would be for the summative task and objectives forums. You are going to see, if I would go, I'm just going to click on this one because there are ideas, but just guidelines from the IB. Here you see the objectives. So we will say like A and which one is applied. Okay. The summative assessments was the GRASS model, and the relation between the summative assessment and the stage of inquiry you've done before also. So that's something that you have done before. It might be 2 videos actually. You have decided, well, I don't like that version actually. I'm going to try to find in the téléchargement download folder, how was it called? No, it's not that one. It was called the unit plan. So let's go fast to unit plan. Blank. So if I open it, that's actually an objective in the second summative task, is to fill out this, to start to fill out the unit plan. So you already have decided the key concept, the related concept, go to context and exploration. You have to write the exploration here. and I'm going to go on in the second video in a few seconds.